Hello everyone, I hope that by now you have already created in your AutoCAD project file the following things. First and foremost, the 5 boxes with a floor plan title underneath and 4 rectangles with names front, rear, left, and right elevation. The following blocks, I've asked you to import them from the CAD file that I've uploaded on D2L. You have doors, bypass doors, double doors, different types of doors, as well as windows. So hopefully by now you have imported them. Put them somewhere above the floor plan, but not too far away. Once you get to this point, next thing we're going to do is essentially get to what the following layout looks like, the floor plan. This is our end goal by the end of this video. Let's go back to your floor plan. We'll start with a Polyline command, and we shall create the following outline of the exterior walls. Please press PL for Polyline, spacebar, and start anywhere in the right corner within the smallest square box and move it 38 feet towards the left, then 35 feet 4 inches down, then 17 feet and 4 inches to the right, 9 feet 8 inches down, 20 feet 8 inches to the right, and 45 feet up. Whenever you do this, make sure that the polyline you create is in a proper layer. I had first dimension being my active layer. That's why this polyline was created in this layer. If you'd like to change it, go ahead and change it and put it under first walls, which is what it needs to be. This is what you should end up with. There's no need right now to dimension the exterior walls. However, it is recommended so that you can keep track of any issues that might arise in case a line moves and you can see some odd dimensions go on. So this is your outline of the exterior walls. At this point in time, we need to create an offset, and we specify 4 inches. The reason why we specify 4 inches to this polyline, and if you see when I use polyline and I use offset, polyline is considered to be one single entity, and it creates 4 inches of offset from that entire entity. And as you can see, anywhere that I will try to dimension, it will be 4 inches. Why 4 inches? Even though we're going to be designing a wall that is a 2x4 wall, and in width that is 3.5 inches. The reason why we're going to go with 4, because in this case, and later on, and quite a few videos from now, you're going to see that our wall section is going to show that our sheathing on the outside is going to align with our foundation wall, which is not the most traditional way, but it is one of the ways of designing walls. So you will have the sheathing, which is 1/2 inch, as well as 3.5 inch of the 2x4. That's why we're right now creating an offset of 4 inches. Now that we have created the exterior walls, it's time to create interior walls. And the way we're going to go about this is essentially, if you can pause the video and write down the dimensions, or just go along with me when it comes to creating these walls. So go ahead and start with, not worry about the 4 inches dimension right now. This is just to show you this is the same 4-inch wall that we have created. Come down about 17 feet and 4 inches down from that wall. And the best way for you to try to keep in line with all the walls that you're creating is to create a reference line. Essentially what that would be is an infinite line that is going to work as a reference. The best layer to do it on is the layer that is not going to have anything printed on it, which would be the def points layer, which you have by now. Go ahead and click on XL, which is going to give you that layer, that line. And if you do everything correctly, you should have a straight line that never ends. No matter how much you zoom in or zoom out, it will never end. This is a reference line. Since it is in a def points layer, it's not going to be printed, but it's helpful for you to have those lines for the purpose of alignment. So for instance, right now I aligned that line 17 feet and 4 inches. The way you would start is type in XL, start with the interior portion of the exterior wall. And now you have this line and the def points layer, and move it down 17 feet and 4 inches. And now you have this line aligned where I had it before. And this is going to be a starting point for your interior walls. This wall right here, and this wall. This wall, and this wall. And the way you draw interior walls in this case is without sheeting. So we're literally going to be drawing the stud walls, which are 3.5 inches. As you can see, 3.5 inches, 3.5 inches, and so on. In this case, you can and you should use regular lines, not polylines, and type in L, space bar, and start from this point and go all the way up to 6.6. Because this is where you have a break, which I'm showing. Go to this point, come down, go back. Come down 5 foot 1 inch and go back. Then make sure you draw the 3.5 inches where it should be. Once you've drawn these lines, for instance, I would follow this along with you for just a little bit. I drew this line to 6 foot 6 inches, and I'm currently in the def points layer, but no worries. I can always change the layer of the lines I've drawn in. And now I'll come down. As you can see, once I create these two lines, they are overlapping. The one way for me to select lines that are on top of each other, if I click one time, it will always go to def points unless I do something else. One way around it is to press Control and press on the same location. And you can see I had another line in this place, which I will remove for now. So this is my 6 foot 6 line and another line that goes down. And let's say I want to copy this line 3.5 inches. Copy is a CO. Sometimes you get it confused with C, but it is the CO, and you can either copy or offset it. Either way, it's fine. This line I want to extend all the way to this point, which ideally you need to follow the dimensions, which are 6 foot 6, 3.5, 2 foot 1, 3.5, 4, 3.5. At this point, this wall is going to terminate. The way you could extend is you can either calculate what these are all together and create one line that spans this direction. I'll let you do the calculations, or you can just create multiple lines, which is not necessarily the easiest way. However, it's going to help you control these lines later in the future. As you can see, I have created. Now you can see I have two lines that seems to be something wrong is going on. Typically when there is a conjunction of the same types of walls, interior walls, you do not want to see these multiple intersections because they're going to confuse people. So the way to eliminate them is you try, if you have any lines that you can select, you select. If you don't, you don't have to do it, but type in TR for trim. Now what that is going to do is going to trim any lines that come in between two other lines if you select them. So in this case, this blue line, which is a portion of my def points line that is below, and this def points line that is above, this portion is between them, and it is going to trim just that portion alone. It's not going to remove the entire line, but just this one. It cannot remove this line because this line specifically is not between any other line. it can remove the portion of this line from this point to this point, which is exactly what I wanted to do. And if you can see, there's my line still there. That's one way of you trimming the unnecessary lines. And similar to this point, as you can see, there's some misalignment, very small, but technically it should not have any misalignment at this point. 3.5 inches, and this should be on the spot where everything else is. But occasionally you will see there are some misalignments between this portion and this portion, which is acceptable if you zoom out and you look at the plan from the real scale. Once it's printed out, you will not see any difference between this white line and the depth points later. And since our dimensions are set to have tolerances, and it rounds up the tolerances to 1/16 of an inch, you're probably not going to be able to measure this distance between these two lines. Either way, for now, I'm going to remove this portion of the white line. And the only way that I can do it, that is the easy way, is for you to type TR spacebar, and it removes just this portion, which is exactly what I need. Going back to the drawing, I showed you on one portion of the walls and how to create them. Here again, this portion needs to be trimmed, similar to this portion. Type in TR spacebar, and you can trim these unnecessary lines. But as a result, I'm going to zoom in on portions of the drawing, pause the video, and try to create these walls according to these dimensions. Right now, you don't have to put dimensions down. This is just a frame of reference for you. Pause the video, draw these lines, and keep following the rest of the video. When you come to this point, you can see that this becomes a point where dimension is not 100% clear, because essentially what you're seeing here is over here will be a stair, and this will be a portion of a stair with a railing, or in this case a half wall that is going to have a cap on top. The cap is represented in this color with the number 11, and the portion of the wall that is below the cap that you will not technically be able to see is actually hidden, and that hidden is going to be represented with a 132 color. So the way you are going to get to this point is you're still going to draw the white line, the first walls line, all the way down to 9 foot 7 inches, and once you get to that point, you're going to either want to create this dimension, which is 1 foot 7 3/4, or you want to scale down, or you want to be able to cut this line into an increment that is equivalent to 1 foot 7 3/4. In my personal opinion, it's better if you get to 9 foot 7, and from 9 foot 7, from this point you create another line going upwards that is equivalent to 1 foot 7 3/4. Same goes for the other side of the wall. So this line and these two lines essentially are going to be created in the same layer, first walls. However, their style will be, as you can see on the left side, color 132 and line type hidden 2. Make sure you specify them. Once you get to this point and you draw these lines, I'll show you the width. You have to offset them 1 inch. From 1 inch from the blue lines, you have to offset them in order to show the cap. Since the cap is actually going to be a cap from all 4 sides, you're going to show the cap in first walls layer, color 11, and line type by layer. So the main thing about this is just the color. The color is going to be slightly different than the rest of the walls because it's going to show up better on the prints. And it's going to help you distinguish the walls from some other elements on the screen. So go ahead and offset the color 11 lines by 1 inch. As you can see, this is 1 inch offset on the left, right side, and the bottom. Over here, you see this unfinished lines, which I will explain in a bit in more detail later on. At this point, just follow along with me. I'm not trying to get you confused, but this line is necessary for you to draw in this case. Once you draw this line and you already have this line and where it stops, which is 20 feet and 5'1" from the line that you drew at the very beginning. At this conjunction, offset this line by 1.5 inches. In the same way, offset this line by 1.5 inches. And you can extend this line to roughly, you can see the length of the line is 2'4". This is, if you click on any line that is not a polyline, you will see the length, 2'4". So if you want to dimension it from one end to another end, it's going to be a 2'4" line. Once you get all the lines with the dimensions ready, all the interior walls, as well as the cap and the wall that is hidden from your view, and you trim the corners, like in this case, here you can see we have a 4-inch exterior wall that is meeting up with an interior wall. Since our interior walls do not include any type of sheeting, we're going to extend only this portion of the wall all the way through, since this is going to be the interior portion of the exterior wall, and this will be the exterior portion of the exterior wall. And this wall is going to be by 1/2 inch smaller than this, because this wall, exterior wall, is going to include sheeting. Another way of representing it is you can always offset this wall by 1/2 inch, and this way you can clearly see where is the sheathing, where is the stud. You can see the stud walls align. The sheathing is the one that is getting offset. That offset is not necessary. It might actually confuse some people, so if you keep it at 4 inches but you specify this is 4 inches, everything should be good and clear. Once you get to this point, we're going to move on by creating the stairs, the risers, and so on. This is what you're going to see once you create the stairs as well as the handrails. And from the top view, the only thing you can really see firsthand are the treads, which are the horizontal portions of the stairs and the handrails. Let's start with the smaller set of stairs that are leading. This is going to be the garage, from the garage into this space, which right now we're not showing doors, which will be the next step. Go ahead and offset the 1'2" from the exterior wall, and you will draw the first line. The length of this line is actually going to be very easy to determine, since it's best to have your threads be 9.5 inches minimum. I believe there is also a code requirement on residential houses to have a certain depth of the thread. So this is 9.5 inches, and you should expect the same for this one. So at 1'2" from the exterior wall, you are creating a stair, or in this case the threads. There are 9.5 inches and 9.5 inches. Lengthwise, there are 4 foot and 2 inches. They are created in the first walls layer, and the color is blue. Everything else is the same. The line type is by layer, default. When it comes to the handrail, it's a little bit different. It's easier to create a polyline that is going to represent your handrail, and the color will be 132 by layer. The way you create this polyline, and there's no exact location of this handrail, but just for the sake of having the same drawings for you and I, let's offset it 4.5 inches from this edge of the thread, and the width of this thread, this handrail, will be 2 inches. So create a polyline and make sure you trim this portion of the thread which you are not seeing from the top. You can also draw it as a hidden line, but in this case it's completely unnecessary because it's not really giving you any needed information about that thread. It's easier to keep things clean and clear. That's one set of stairs. And the second set of stairs. Well, actually, second and third. There will be a door in this location with the steps going down, and there will be a door, and there will be steps, and these are the steps going upwards. So there's an overlap between the steps in this case. So if you're looking from the first floor plan view, these are the steps going down over here, and these are the steps going up right here. So let's start with these ones. These ones are going to start 4 foot 1 inch from this portion of the exterior wall, 9-inch thread all the way through up until you hit this point. And you can count how many of them I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. After the 10th, you offset your thread line by 1.75 inches, which is going to represent something else. For now, it's too much details to get into. Just create this line. However, when you create this line, you need to change the line type of only this line to hidden to. Again, because this line technically is not seen from the top view. Whatever it represents, which we're not going to cover right now, right this second, we're going to get to it a little bit later. This line has to be in the hidden to line type. On the left side, you can see a handrail that is actually a block that can be changed and modified. And this block is located over here under the notes handrail. You can go ahead and copy this block into the floor plan, and as you can see, there's an arrow that allows you to drag this item for as long as you need, and this box in the middle that's right now says 6 feet 5.5 inches represents the entire length of this handrail. Once you drag it one way or another, again, everything else remains in place. Go ahead and copy, paste it, and put it in the following location. Align this with, well, when we get to this point, this portion of the stairs that are going down into the basement, again, this line is going to be hidden to. The one adjacent to it on the left side is going to be a regular line with a bilayer line type, and it will be a 9-inch thread, and a 9-inch thread. 1, 2, 3, 3 of them. And offset the first line that is going to be hidden to 3 3/4 inch from this interior wall. Once you do it, once you create these threads, go ahead and copy that handrail block, align the one portion of the block with the hidden line, and another one you can offset roughly. Again, it doesn't have to be precise, since in the field it won't be as precise, but you can say by 4 inches or 4.5 inches from this thread. Same goes here. Try to keep dimension from the interior wall to the beginning of the handrail consistent, which in this case is 2 inches. But here again, align the handrail with the hidden line, with the hidden to line. And at the bottom, align it with a regular thread line. This is how you create stairs in the floor plan view. And we're going to continue with creating the doors, the openings, as well as the garage doors and windows in this building. Since you already have the blocks for windows and doors, let's go ahead and start putting them into this project. For instance, I want to place this window somewhere, right? Right now, I'm not showing exactly where the dimensions are, which, give me one second, I'll fix. Now you can see the exact location of the windows and their sizes as well as the doors. Let's start with the northern wall. Here I have a window, which is a block, which I copied from the very top, from this portion. And you can see that this is going to be a 3-foot window. But in this case, unlike typically, you can see that the windows are measured to the center line of those windows, which you can do like this. I need to measure the opening that I need for this window, which in this case, the opening starts from this edge and ends on this edge. So I am dimensioning an opening, and I'm telling the contractors that it needs to be 3 foot away exactly from this corner. And this is a 3-foot window, which you can see by the name. If I select it, it says 30, or the way you should be reading this is 3 foot 0 inches. The naming convention can be a little bit difficult to get used to, but this is an industry standard and a lot of people are very comfortable using this. So 30 does not mean 30 inches. 30 means 3 foot 0 inches. Same with 36. It means 3 foot and 6 inches. As you can see. So go ahead and copy this block. Control C is just fine. And try to put that block into this cavity. The way you align the block is, as you can see, I put the block right into the wall, with this portion, with this northern rectangle being on the outside, and on the inside it is flush. This wall aligns with this line. And the way you can typically lay them out is again by using the XL command. Let's say if I want to create a reference line and I want to have it offset by 3 feet, there you go. Well, this is probably more than 3 feet. Well, yes, it is, because I've set it from the interior wall. If you want to have an so if you want to place this window, you need to go ahead and type an L or XL for an infinite line. Put it in, put it on the corner where you would like it to be at, and then move it to the point where you want the window to start, which is right here. This is going to be your frame of reference on the depth points layer, as you can see, but the block of window should be on the first doors and windows layer, which you already should have. What it helps us to do is, once we created blocks and put them into place, and let's say we want to hide them for one reason or another, you can quickly go on the right side of the layer properties, press on this bulb, and it disappears. It does not mean it's deleted, it just disappears. You could click on it again and everything that's on that layer comes back. So go ahead and put in the windows the same way. You can see a window that is spaced 3 foot, then a 3 foot window, 5 foot 8, 3 foot window. Then there is a 6 foot gap between a window and a door. As you can see, this door, which this line right here, the arc, shows you the direction of the swing, where the door is swinging out or in. In this case, it's swinging out. And this is a 3 foot door. And we measure that from the point where the door starts swinging till the edge of the actual door. So the arc only represents the swing, and the rectangle represents the actual door. Since you already have this block, you can go ahead and go to the blocks. This is a single door. There's a 3 foot. Again, 3068 means it's a 3 foot wide door, 6 foot and 8 inches high, which is a standard. You can go ahead and copy this You don't have to copy the wall. It just shows you how a door should be placed in the wall. This corner aligns with this corner of the wall. And this arc aligns with this portion of the wall. Go ahead and copy this wall, bring it down to where you need to put it. And whenever you put it, you might have this condition. You might have something like this going on, which is fine. The only way you can fix it is you create a line going down, make sure it's in the right layer, first walls layer, on both sides, here and here. And now you trim the rest. You can either select it or you don't have to select it, and you can simply do this and you get your opening in the wall. Again, this is how you try to put in the wall. Now, the line that is going beyond the door, in this case, it is a threshold. Typically, those are put, but not always. Not everyone does them. I would say it's kind of important to show them because they're going to assist you with figuring out whether you have a threshold in an area or not. A threshold is going to help you make it very clear. How do you draw it? A threshold, first of all, make sure you're in the right layer and there is no block for it, and I don't think you should create one for it since it's just a matter of you drawing a few lines here and there. And sometimes you don't need a threshold if the door is on the inside. You only put thresholds, well, primarily put thresholds onto the exterior doors. And the way you draw it is very simple. You press L, go off an inch, go up an inch and a half, go across, and repeat. Inch to the right and inch and a half to the top. Whenever you cross the door, make sure you trim this line in this location. So it was like this, and by pressing TR, you trim this portion. You do not dimension the threshold, you just try to represent it. Once you drew this door, a 3-foot door, you offset 4 feet and you draw another 3-foot window. This is what you do on this portion of the exterior wall. Then let's come down to this portion. Again, you have a window that is offset from the corner by 3 feet, and you have the same exact, well, in this case it didn't quite copy, but let me make it easier for you. This is going to be a 3-foot door as well. And I'll go ahead and change the layer to first dimensions. It's nice to have layers that have different colors in them because you will clearly see that dimension seemed odd because it has a different color. Make sure you have everything that you need in the layers and colors that you need. So this is a 3-foot door similar to the one above. You can go ahead and probably even copy, paste it, or the command that I personally like is mirror it. MI, and you draw a line that is in whichever direction you want it to be mirrored. If you draw a line that is horizontal, it will mirror it in this fashion. You can either click on yes, erase the source object, which is the door above, or you can press no, which is typical, and you keep this drawing and this drawing. And now you can move this below and adjust the swing. That's one way of doing this. Once you create this door, which is again 3 foot offset from this window, let's move on to the garage doors. Typically garage doors come in, on residential houses come in 2 sizes, 8-foot doors for single cars and 16-foot doors for double cars. You already have a block ready for you to use. At the garage door, there are more lines associated with them, which right now we're not going to touch because they represent structure. We're going to go with a 16-foot by 7-foot door. 7 feet is height of the door. It's not the most typical. There are 8-foot doors, there are 6-foot 10 doors, and others. Copy this block, bring it down, make sure you place it in equal distance from these two exterior walls. In this case, 2'4", 2'4", and place it on the outside, not inside like a regular door, but on the outside as you have seen me shown. But make sure to remove the line that was here before, this line. Make sure you trim it. It should not be there. Once you put this door, let's go around and put the rest of the doors. I'll go ahead and we'll show you the dimensions of these doors so you can put them correctly. As you can see now, I put the actual sizes of doors on all the interior doors. Let's start with this portion of the drawing. You can see it is going to be a 2'4", 6'8" door. 2'4" means width, 6'8" means the height. And the way you can check this is a 2'4". There you go. It's a 2'4" door. The way you place these interior doors is you can either center them on the space or on the hallway, or you can offset them from the edge. The process of putting the interior doors is very similar to putting the exterior doors. You align the door to the edge of the portion of the wall that you're putting it in, as well as the swing, and you trim the middle portion. But in this case, we're not putting a threshold, since right now we do not worry about them, and typically on the interior doors you do not put a threshold. There is a 2'4", 2'4" door, as well as a 2'6" door. In this case, again, try to have at least of roughly I would say roughly 3.5 inches offset from the edge of the wall in order to put in an interior door. Or you can always try to center it, which the easiest way of you doing this would be to draw one line, draw another line, draw a line between them, and make sure you snap in the middle and put your door in the middle of this section. Once you put this door, you'll get to another version of a door called bypass, which probably all of you have seen. 4'0" represents an entire length of the bypass, since each individual door is only 2 feet wide, and this opening should be exactly 4 feet. This bypass door, on one end of it, it has to align with your wall. On the other end, since it is a block already, you just keep it this way because it shows you that this other door is going to be able to slide from one edge to the other, as well as this one. This door is going to be a 3-foot door, since it is going to be going into the garage. The reason for different sizes of doors and their width is primarily because of their purpose. When it comes to the garage, typically if you have any sort of belongings that are very large, you want to be able to put them in the garage, and the bigger the wider the door, the easier it is for you to do that. But you don't have to have a 3-foot door everywhere. If you have a small powder room, a 2'4" door will suffice just fine. When it comes to these yellow lines, those represent door openings. They can either go to the top floor, or they can go to a certain height, which we can specify using notes. But right now we're focusing on how to show them. This is a door opening. If you click on this line, it's going to show you that it is a first walls layer hidden to yellow. Some of you may think, why is it not in doors and windows? You can put it there if you choose to, but in this case it's better if you put it in the first walls layer. This specific dimension is a 3-foot opening that is offset from the edge by 1.5 feet, or you can center it. It depends on your personal decision. Here, an entire portion of a wall, which is 3'8", is going to serve as a door opening. Here, only a 3-foot opening. Make sure you show them in the correct layer, first walls, and line type heading 2. This portion of the project indicates a chase. A chase is where you run the plumbing, electrical, and other conduits or mechanical conduits through in order for you to have easy access to them, and they will not be in your visible space in case of something going wrong. Those lines are first walls, color yellow, and line type by layer. And you put this crossings of 2 lines. Now we're going to essentially replicate the dimensions that I've shown, because that is very important at this stage in time to show the dimensions, and make sure yours correlate with mine. The closer they are going to be, the better for your future project, because the closer they are, the better and easier it is going to be for me to grade yours. And if I see discrepancies, one will follow with another one, and so on and so forth, and it will be a snowball effect. So make sure your dimensions align with mine in all respects. Pause the video if you have to. In order to create such dimensions, we have these rectangular boxes that will serve as our guides. What I typically do, I type in a command called DLI, which stands for dimension linear. And I go from one edge to the other edge, and I create the overall dimension first, 38 feet. Then go to this side, and I only capture wall to wall in the very first dimension. Wall to wall, wall to wall, wall to wall, and wall to wall. Second portion of my dimensions, second type of dimensions, is showing the openings. Openings in your facade or in your exterior walls are doors, windows, and sometimes something else. In this case, doors and windows. And you can clearly see I show them with dimensions going from this portion of the window to this portion of the window. And that is consistent throughout the rest of the building. However, in AutoCAD, unfortunately, once you create a dimension line, it's a single dimension line, and you have to create another one. However, there is a trick you can use, and if you want to create multiple dimension lines and not having to press the same command again and again and try to align it with the previous dimension. So here's an example of what you can do. Well, this is not the most ideal. Let's say I dimension this portion. I press spacebar and I try to dimension this portion, and now I have to physically move this dimension line to this location. And there you go. Another way of doing this is once you dimension a portion of the wall, you press on this dimension and you press in DCO. You type in DCO, which stands for dimension continue. And you press spacebar and you can go left or right, and you can put in more dimensions with ease. Now I can create these very fast and very easy and snap them to whichever ways and places I would like. This is how it's easier for you to put in one dimension, such as 6'6". Select press DCO and start. Once you created the dimensions, and I'm going to go around again to make sure you got all of them. make sure you also dimension the stairs. And if you want to offset your dimension, there's an easy way of doing this. Click on this dimension. Let's say I want to create a leader line similar to the one I've done here so that it doesn't overlap with other dimensions. You can either move this physically, and once you do it, the leader line appears. Why it appears? It is because we've selected that option at our dimension styles preferences. Congratulations, we got to a finish point of this specific video, and we can go ahead and work on this floor plan in the next video. Thank you for your attention.